Listen, guys, this is what happens, okay? Despite what you read on Reddit or whatever, you eat a bunch of food, you train really hard, and then this is what happens. He says, I have gained 5 pounds, but my waist size has dropped. Right, there you go. So you're doing the thing, and you're doing it
right.
well.
You're listening to Barbell Logic, brought to you by Barbell Logic Online Coaching, where each week we take a systematic walk through strength training and the refining power of voluntary hardship.
Welcome to the Barbell Logic podcast. I am Scott Hambrick. That's Matt Reynolds, and it's Thursday, but we're going to do an extendo Q&A.
Yeah, we got lots of questions.
Have you mined the questions for Scott's show yet?
I started to pull some.
Okay.
So if you see one that's like really pisses you off, should you not ask it so we can save it just for the
I don't know.
Scott goes crazy?
I don't know. We got one for last Saturday's Q&A. We had to nuke all of it.
Yeah.
Guy really got me.
We should do it together when we do that show. Like, we should do it together, and we should make you take a drink after every question we ask.
No.
So, yeah, it'd be awesome. So somebody will ask a question, right? And then you have to take a drink and you'll give an answer. And then question 2, so like if we get you 6, 7 questions in, you're going to be drunk and angry. You're going to be throwing that glass.
Throw my rocks
But
glass.
it could make for great pod.
At Weesh Dudes.
So
Kyle says,
hey, Kyle.
thank you for your amazing content that you put out for free.
Oh,
thank you.
Kyle, that touches my heart.
Thank you. And the key there is amazing.
For free.
No, the key is for free.
Yeah. Is in fact, we spend hours and hours recording this stuff for free.
You know, one of the reasons that I am so happy that I'm not in the business at data storage anymore is, one, because there is so much stuff that's available for free. And two, Amazon one-click ordering. Like, people are just more and more acclimated to, like, just pushing a button and a robot dropping shit in their lap.
Yep.
Or pushing a button and just getting, hard-fought, carefully produced free content in their ear, that if you're like, okay, I've got a very unique skill set here and you have a very expensive problem, I would like some of that money, please. They're just outraged. Like, it's just changing the way people think.
Sure.
It's the opposite of having everything done bespoke and custom by a experienced craftsman.
Sure.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So gross. But thank you, Kyle. He says I had a question that he would be interested in hearing our thoughts on. It's based on our last Q&A, and of course, we're way behind. He says, my succinct question is, my deadlift to squat to bench to press 1 RM seem to be out of balance. Doesn't matter. He says, my details. I'm 39, 5'9", and weigh about 160. I've been lifting consistently for 4 years. I train 5 to 6 days per week. I've run Novice LP twice. His deadlift's 405, squat is 265, bench is 215, press is 145. Those numbers don't seem to be too crazy.
They're not way off. They're fine.
No. He says, I typically run 1 to 2 marathons per year with a PR of 2 hours 58. That's not bad.
No, that's actually real fast.
That's real fast. And so that brings all these numbers and stuff you gave us more into focus for me.
Sure.
I think you're doing fine. Who cares?
Me too.
You're doing just fine.
You're an actually no shit competitive marathon runner. You're not a skinny fat guy that's running around his neighborhood every morning to lose weight. You're actually competitive and you're decently strong. You're doing just fine. Good job.
He says that he's been using various online programs to do his work, and he says he's pretty good at periodizing his training across the two disciplines. But, it might be time. I mean, you are competitive and your numbers are pretty good here. It might be time to actually get some professional help with this. I think that you would benefit. We could probably help your marathon time and help the weight on the barbell as well. But hey, good job, Kyle. No kidding. Good job. Kudos, brother. He's got a couple boys under 10. Get those boys training. Get mama out there too, sir. And quit your university job. And let's get out in the private sector and let's put that intellect to work, leaving the woodpile taller. All right? Jacob says, shoes. Thanks for putting on a great podcast. I've been an avid listener. Thank you for listening. I have been taking principles of your show and incorporating them into my own training for a year or so. I finally decided to stop messing around. I bought the book, and I'm going to start doing an Honest LP next week. My question is about shoes. They are in the budget for next month, but not an option right now. Am I better off squatting in my running shoes, or should I go barefoot? That's a good, fair enough question.
I hate this question. I get it all the time.
But it's not like I'm never going to wear shoes.
Yeah,
it's like,
I get it.
I'm waiting for my shoes to come in, barefoot or running shoes.
Yeah. Probably barefoot, but it depends on the shoes. If your running shoes are like Nanos or Metcons or something that's like made to be a cross-training shoe, like an actual, which tends to have a pretty flat sole, then those are fine. But if they're if they're a middle class fancy New Balance white tennis shoe with a 1.5 inch thick rubber sole,
Nike Monarch,
take that thing off. Yeah, they got a shock system in it. Take them off. They got a big bubble underneath your foot. Take them off.
I don't like people being barefoot in the gym. There are heavy things that are dropped from time to time. I dropped a 5-pound plate on my toe the other day, and I'm really lucky I didn't break it. I was wearing flip-flops. So I broke my own rule. It broke the skin. It jacked me up for a week. I really don't like people being barefoot in the gym. And there's also sanitation reasons and safety. So what I would recommend is if you've got some Chucks or some Vans or some like a Merrell makes some shoes that are really minimal shoe, your Nanos, like Matt said, use those for now and wait for those good squat shoes to come in.
Yeah, that's probably a good guess. Almost everybody probably has a pair of tennis shoes that's got a pretty damn flat sole.
Yeah. Yeah, you would be better off squatting in like some Sperry Docksiders or something than a running shoe. Robert says, hey, gents.
Robert, did you do that R roll?
I did. He says, love the Elite FTS rubberized wrist straps, but why are they a mile long? Can they be
I know.
Can they be cut, or would they have to be cauterized by flame?
Can.
Both.
Yeah, that's so easy to do. Just do that, right? Just cut it. And I have them. It's all wrist straps are long like that. It's stupid. You don't need to roll the wrist. You don't need to wrap a wrist strap around the bar 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times.
Yep.
It needs to go around the bar 1 time.
I have some seatbelt stuff I bought at the Army Surplus, and they are 18 inches long each, and that's fine.
Yeah, so all I do is just wrap them around the bar 1 time, and there's just a bunch of extra material when it gets wrapped around the bar 1 time. But you certainly, if it bothers you, you can just cut it and then just hit it with a lighter, and it would be just fine. I've done that many times. So, but yeah, I do like those Elite FTS rubberized ones. I've actually been playing around a little bit with the figure 8 wrist straps. Seen those? Yep. They're kind of hard to get used to. Then once you do, they're okay. So, yeah.
Mike says, hello, gents. Have you considered surveying block clients to gather data about various anthropometric differences? I'm a data nerd, no S, and wonder if having stats regarding various body measurements from a decent sample size of people would be useful to your coaches. Probably not. He says, for example, I wonder how average or not the length of my upper arm bones are in relation to my forearm, since I have so much trouble getting a narrow squat grip without my bicep aching, and the bottom position of my press has the bar pretty high in front of my face when I try to stick my elbows in front of the bar. Well, having a bunch of data about other people's bodies isn't going to help you do any of those things.
Yeah, I understand what he's asking, though.
I do too.
That'd be fun to know, but like I think certainly we are working hard to continue to gather better and better data on the effectiveness of our coaching and programming, but we're still a ways away. Like it's not that easy to figure out exactly how long everyone's segment lengths are, and so if you just use the camera to do that, you would have to get in perfect, right, like the perfect sagittal plane and break. Like if you were even just. And then you don't know how far they're pushing their knees out. So how easy would it be to tell how long the femur is? Even in the sagittal plane, if the knees are coming out a little bit, it's going to make it appear shorter. So, at some point the day's coming where the 360-degree cameras are going to be on our phones, and they'll be able to read that kind of 3D depth perception. And certainly those things are coming.
Then we can get spied on in like 3D in high def. 360 degrees. It's going to be awesome.
Fortunately, they'll know exactly how small all my appendages are. And that'll be embarrassing for me.
Well, yeah, there are so many versions of this question, and the questions are like, my squat's lagging this. How is it in comparison with other people's lifts? I weigh this, and I'm this tall. How much should I be lifting? And they're all sort of about comparison. And I understand people that train alone are kind of they're alone out there, and they want to be kind of moored, and they want to know how they're doing and all that. But the truth of it is, all you can do is do your next session, and then your next one, and your next one, and do your best, and then the numbers will be what they will.
You're exactly right. And like I've preached that for years and years. I'm 100% in on that. I also know that competition makes everything better. And so one of the things that we're working on to launch soon at the Barbell Logic website is for our Barbell Logic online coaching clients is an actual leaderboard based on your demographics. So you can be like, I'm a female that's 42 years old and weigh about this much, like in this weight class, and you can kind of see how you stack up against other people, which is not the main reason we do this, right? It's the same sort of thing of like for people that go play golf, like you're going to play golf to have fun and to get better at it, and you're not actually competing in golf until you're actually competing in golf.
Right.
And powerlifting is the same thing. We've said this, like if you're not on the PGA Tour or whatever, one of the tours that pay money in golf, like who actually cares if you win or lose? And powerlifting is the same way, or lifting's the same way. That doesn't mean that doesn't give you some additional motivation to try to go like, well, I'm ranked number 17 at Barbell Logic right now, and I sure would like to break into the top 10. And that's fine. You can use that as some sort of fun external motivation. But this idea of trying to figure out what we can learn about, we're going to constantly be thinking about the lifts, the mechanics of the lifts, and how anthropometry changes some of those things, and what things stay constant. Those things are all important things for us to talk about. But when you start comparing yourself to others, especially the length of anything on your body, like it just goes bad typically. It does for me.
Yep, because you were given your cards and you must play them. It doesn't matter what anybody else's cards are.
Everything's small, everything's short, everything lacks girth. Next question.
Everything's pink. I want to table this one because I think we need to do an entire show about it. All right.
Okay.
Matt says, I'm a long-term listener of the podcast and a huge fan of our work. Thank you. He said...
Thank you, Matt. Or maybe I wrote this.
This is a different Matt.
I'm a huge fan of our work.
Actually, I know you're not. You never listen to our work.
I do have pewters
right.
on. I listen to it.
He says, I've been struggling on LP for a while, knowing that my sleep was not great, but feeling like something else was off and was preventing me from achieving the expected results. I am 44, 5'10", and 160. There you have it. He says, I can't get past 205 for the squat. Listen, after several rounds of labs and a brain MRI, I discovered I have an adenoma near my pituitary gland that is making prolactin, and that's caused his decrease in testosterone. He says that they have told him that after treatment that his T should rebound naturally, but they will not prescribe testosterone in the interim. He's been using his CPAP. He says, so this guy has a very complex, difficult situation here, right? He says, what are our suggestions for programming the next 3 to 6 months while sleep and hormone levels improve after getting treatment for this adenoma? You just do the best you can, man.
What are you going to do, man? Yeah, you're going to do the best you can to recover. You're going to make sure you eat the right food. Try to put an emphasis on eating good food, high protein. Do everything you can to help yourself recover, and then let your hormone levels come back to normal. And Godspeed. You'll do just fine. You'll look back on this time and 5 years from now and go, I remember when that was really hard to recover, and I had a hard time breaking through those PRs, and now I'm twice as strong, and everything's okay. And by the way, 6 months later, if your testosterone's still low and your doctor won't prescribe it, go get a new doctor.
Yeah, that's right. Because at 44, even if you were pretty normal, it's still not going to be really high. So even if they even if they ameliorate all of your health problems, you're probably still not going to have good testosterone levels. But best of luck to you on that. He says, if not for us mentioning it on this podcast, he would still be floundering around without a clue as to what is really wrong with me. So he has some specific questions here. He says he's gonna lift, and he says, when I try to move up in weight and I miss the reps or do I drop the weight or make another run at it? What should be a realistic expectation? Dude, I really don't know. I think that I think that I would probably put you on a little bit of an LP just to figure out where the heck you are. And then I would just have to start periodizing it. I don't typically want to drop the weight and quote unquote make a run at it. I would prescribe some volume work for you that was taxing that you could get done, but wasn't grinding you to powder, because you're going to have trouble recovering because your testosterone is going to probably go below 175 even for a little while, would be my guess. And then I would give you intensity work that was heavy, and I would try to get you to hit 5s for your intensity work. And if you got 4 or 3 or even a single, I wouldn't sweat it a bit. I wouldn't worry about it a bit. I wouldn't reset anything. We would just move on with the volume next week and try to add a rep to the intensity session later on the next week. And just you're going to be okay. Don't get too wound up about it. Just pick some numbers that you can hit in LP. Run a little bit of LP. It's not going to go very far. And then try out what I said there. Email me, man, and let me know how you're doing, and I'll see if I can help you in any way I can. Best of luck, Matt. You're going to be just fine.
Yeah, glad you went and got yourself.
That's right. There'll be more Matt for your loved ones now, and for you. So good. Chuck says, I enjoy your podcast and have been listening for a while. He said in episode 201, we spoke of a youngin gaining weight. He says, I'm 65, I weigh 160. I started lifting in January, and I've lost 5 pounds.
It's going the wrong way.
He started his squat at 60 pounds, and his squat's now 170.
Okay.
So that's going up. I'm eating both carbs and more protein, but stay at the same weight. Am I just not eating enough, or is my age holding me back? Well,
you're probably not eating enough, but your squat weight keeps going up. So that's one of the things that we know. Like, there's a solid quantifiable metric there, is that you keep getting stronger, you keep putting weight on the bar. As long as that keeps going on, you're probably fine. It's hard, man. This is what it's so hard. Body weight's so hard because, like, maybe this guy was kind of one of those skinny fat guys when he started. He was kind of skinny fat. He had kind of a belly, but he was really, had almost like no muscle tone at all in his upper body and lower body. He just kind of had that spare tire, and now he's probably lost the spare tire, and he's lost 15 pounds of fat. He's gained 10 pounds of muscle, and he's got a net 5 pound loss. But the guy's stronger at everything. So, but also he's probably not eating enough.
He says he's 160, and then I see here where I emailed him a follow up and said, "How tall are you?" He says he's 5'5". So 5'5" and 160.
Oh, okay.
That ain't bad, Bubba.
Especially at his age, too. Right? He's not 22.
So eating that extra protein, eating a few carbs, and the weight staying the same is probably a good place to be, actually. I would go get that testosterone checked, man, and let's make sure that we do everything we can to, help you with recovery, and keep on trucking, Chuck. I'd love to help you. Let us know. You can go over to Barbell Logic Online Coaching and sign up and ask for me, and I'll hook your ass up. 170 for a 65-pound gentleman at 160 pounds is not a bad squat whatsoever. That's pretty darn good.
Well, especially when he started at 60. Yeah, started at 60 pounds.
So it's going to keep on going. Good job, man.
Yeah. He's tripled his squat.
Keep shoving that protein, get that T checked, and keep on training. Good job, friend. Eric says, I am deep into the method, and I've noticed the barbell speed on the squat starting to slow. I'm 5'9" and 168. I'm squatting 255, and I have a deadlift of 270. The press is very weak due to shoulder injuries. I am wondering these main things. 1, due to age, do I do back off sets on just squat and bench? I don't know.
How old is he again? What did he say?
He's 5'9" and 168. He doesn't say how old he is.
That's important.
But he does say training over, the subject line is training over 50. So, okay.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's probably a pretty good, right? That's a decent strategy. Yeah. Top set with back off sets will probably work just fine for a guy like you.
That wouldn't be a bad thing to do. And he says, the deadlift is still going well. Should I make bigger increases in weight? I started 10-pound jumps and added an additional set once a week. No, go to smaller jumps. Go to 5 pounds.
Yeah, correct.
Go to smaller jumps.
Don't make bigger jumps just because it's going fine. even at 5-pound jumps, you're going to make massive progress really, really fast. At some point, you're going to have to make smaller than 5-pound jumps in some of the other lifts.
Yep.
Right. But
yeah, and these numbers aren't bad. You're over 50, 5'9", 168 pounds, a 255 squat, 270 deadlift, and 195 bench press is not bad for a gentleman of that stature in those advanced years. You're in your sixth decade. He says he's gained. Listen, guys, this is what happens, okay? Despite what you read on Reddit or whatever, you eat a bunch of food, you train really hard, and then this is what happens. He says, I have gained 5 pounds, but my waist size has dropped. Right, there you go. So you're doing the thing, and you're doing it
right.
well.
Correct.
Kudos.
Good work.
Drew says, I'm interested in having a home gym, but don't have a garage or basement. I'm considering buying a portable shed with a wood foundation to use as my home gym. Is this a good idea, or is a concrete floor a better option? I plan on building a platform as well for better shock absorption. Man, I tell you what, I don't know where you are, but if you were in a portable building here in Oklahoma, you would die.
I was going to say, can you imagine being in August and it's a little portable building? It's 140 in there.
Yeah. You need a concrete floor. When you walk out 405 and you weigh 200, that floor, any wood floor is going to be creaking and flexing. You're going to feel it moving under your feet.
Yeah, I'd put a concrete slab and a pole barn down before I put anything else. But 4 poles and a roof on the thing.
Right. Yeah, just a carport.
You can squat. Yeah, like a carport. Like a carport. You can squat and deadlift outside when it's hot or cold. Like literally outside.
Yep.
But when it's August 15th and it's 105 outside, and you're trying to squat inside a shed where it's not 105, it's a sauna. It's 162. That's not what you want. So there's lots of stuff on. You can go on like Pinterest and stuff and learn how to turn those sheds into actual saunas.
Yeah.
Like that's what they do. They turn sheds into saunas.
That's the starting point for a sauna.
That's right. That's right.
Are there any YouTube videos about how to turn a garden shed into a freezer? No. That is not where you. I have a new online coaching client, Salman. You can see him on Instagram. He's at Miami Barbell. He's a cool guy, and he runs a little gym out of a storage unit. He pays $200 a month for an air conditioned or something like that. I don't know what his numbers are. A little air conditioned 10 by 20 storage locker in an air conditioned building, and has a great gym in there. And man, that is such an awesome idea. So that's out there too. I got in an email discussion with a guy named James here. He said episode 204, which was the episode about the black hunger of the billionaire, or whatever it was that Trent called it.
Yeah, the dark hunger, is that what it was?
Yeah, I don't know whatever
it was.
He said, could you please invite Walter Block from the Mises Institute on the podcast to defend billionaires? And he says,
to defend billionaires?
Walter Block is I like Walter Block.
Too.
I like Walter Block. I think he's at Tulane. I think he's down in Louisiana. He's a super smart guy.
Yeah, I like the Mises Institute.
He's super accessible. He's a great guy. But he says, I share similar concerns about the future as Hambrick does on the episode 204. He says, however, the free marketer in me has some counterpoints. Billionaires as entrepreneurs keep getting richer because they are still satisfying consumer demand better than their competitors. Profit is, after all, evidence of value that was created by the entrepreneur and appreciated by customers. He says the real problem is stupid stuff like too big to fail, subsidies received by the likes of Tesla, Amazon, NFL teams, etc. He says, so hey, get a hold of Dr. Block. And here's my response. And I thought I'd read it because, well, I'd like people to know where I am on this. I said, Dr. Block, who I respect a great deal, gives arguments that are irrelevant. We do not live in a free market. I purposely addressed all libertarian arguments when I pointed out that the libertarians are like communists and that they always argue that true free markets don't exist and we live in a mixed economy. Then they turn around and advise for governing as though we were in a free market, but we are not. We do live in a mixed economy and always will. As such, we have practical problems right now. Every publicly traded company in the country rent seeks. Amazon gets discounted delivery from the U.S. Postal Service, for example. Online Great Books does not. You don't. And it doesn't end there. Risk is nationalized and profit is privatized. And this is the state of affairs. All libertarian arguments are speaking to conditions that do not exist at scale in any society. and they theorize like the true communists. We have practical problems about what to do with what we have, not what could be done if everything were perfect. Libertarian theorizing is mental masturbation that I enjoy and respect, but have come to realize leaves us at the mercy of rent seekers that use our free market sentiment to destroy our towns and society. As long as there is a legislative process, rent seekers will exist, and they will always exist. Every now and then they get huge, and they should be nuked from orbit. So James said back to me, perhaps you've put some words towards the gut feelings that I've had and become less interested in consuming libertarian theory from the interwebs. So anyway, there is that. So I had quite a few people with these sort of libertarian sentiments, which I have had, by the way, email me about that episode, and those are my thoughts about it. True free market and laissez-faire capitalism does not exist and cannot exist, and we shouldn't act like it can. Communists always say, we haven't done it right yet, and the libertarians kind of say the same thing. We have practical concerns that have to be dealt with. Yeah. Thomas lives in Oklahoma. In fact, Thomas lives in my hometown. And Thomas emails us about once a week.
Yes.
And
but
Thomas...
How is coaching going with Thomas? I know that
never seen the
Thomas
man.
continues to try to see you. He just can't get in. Is your schedule full, Scott?
No, he just wants to keep asking every week. He wants to ask questions for free.
Maybe he's trolling you.
Free advice.
Do you think he's a real person?
I think he's a real person. He says, Matt and Scott, thanks so much for all you guys do. I love the show. He says, I haven't heard you guys talk much about the front squat. Should I work them into my program? No. If so, after back squatting or sub them once a week? No. Haven't tried them since a year ago when I started. I'm sorry. Back then I couldn't get into position. Tried one yesterday with just the bar, and magically I'm now able to easily do it. Fine. Tom,
you need to coach.
I can't answer any more of your questions until you either come and see me.
This is the last time you'll ever be on the podcast, Tom, until you go see Scott or Charity for actual coaching.
Yep. Thanks for listening, man. Thanks for interacting. I love it.
You live in the town.
But you live in the town. You sent me 11 questions.
I bet you would answer every question he had during the squat session where you're coaching him.
For 2.5 hours on an intro deal.
Right.
Talk to it nonstop.
Yeah. I just snorted a little bit. That was awesome.
You're like a teenage girl that just heard a dirty joke.
Yeah, I know. That's what my wife does when she gets really giggling.
Next question. Matt says, I love the podcast.
Another Matt?
Yeah. He says he's 18 and has been lifting consistently for about a year. He's 5'10", 170. He says, I know you guys would say I'm underweight. Should I really be 200 pounds? I feel like my frame is too small to hold that much weight. He says he has 6 3/4 inch wrists. I front squat 315, back squat 385, deadlift 420, bench 275. I was thinking about bulking up to 185 potentially. Thanks.
I mean, he's pretty strong. What is he, 5'10"? Is that what he said?
Yeah, 5'10", 170.
I mean, that's too small, but you're also really strong for your size. So, you're not really who we're talking about, man.
No, that's really great. Should
you gain another 15 pounds of muscle? Yeah. I mean, you're 5'10". Like, 5'10" should weigh 200 pounds, don't you think? But, again.
Not if it makes you get fat, but,
no.
Over time, you should be trending up, 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 up. And by the way, as young as you are and as talented as you are, because these are the numbers of a talented person, if at that weight you're squatting 385. If you pour the groceries on, you're going to find the weight on the barbell just goes up, up, up. It just hockey sticks. So you're not going to get fat. So you could either go slowly and gain weight over the next, have just grinding session after grinding session for the next 4 years until you get to 200. Or you could quit effing around and you could eat your groceries and get that squat in the 490 area and weigh 205.
Yeah.
And by the way, get an upgrade on the girlfriend, get a better job, have a nicer house, and have a better life. Because a guy that thunders around at 5'10" with a 485 squat and it weighs 205 has a different kind of life than a guy who's 5'10" and weighs 170.
Sage advice from Scott Hambrick.
Nate says, I have so many questions. Having never been a French aristocrat, I've never used a bidet. It seems very problematic to me. All right, I got to stop right there. The word problematic is utter bullshit.
It's a problem.
Either something is a problem or it is not.
It's not problematic.
You could think that something might possibly be a problem, but
and then you would say, this could be a problem.
this could be a problem. But when you say problematic, you impart some nature upon the thing that it may not, in fact, have.
Right.
It's a weasel word that good people shouldn't use.
By the way, I've used it, and Scott's chewed my ass for it, too, and I've tried to cut it out of my vocabulary.
It doesn't mean anything.
No, you're right.
Your hair is problematic. I mean, it doesn't mean anything.
That's a dick thing to say. If you say that to somebody, that's like extra dickish. It's one thing to say bidets are problematic. It's like your hair is problematic. I'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with my hair?
Well, how about this? Bidets are problematic. What are you talking about? What, in fact, is the problem with bidets?
Sure.
So he actually goes on to say,
okay,
my primary concern is the splash zone, the direction of the water jet. Is the jet not pointed up? Does this not result in water and debris exiting the toilet bowl area?
okay.
Matt, you'll have to answer this question because I've never used one.
That's not true. You're so
I have
full of
never used a bidet.
When you're at my house, you
Nope.
still use the toilet paper.
That's right.
That's unacceptable.
I'm conservative. I don't see any need for change. I'm able to clean myself up just fine.
Yeah, with a little poke through, then you get a little poo underneath your fingernail.
No, I don't. I know how to do that.
Not interested. Not interested in.
That's fine.
So, the ones that get put on modern American toilets. One of the things that I had trouble with, considering the French aristocratic bidets, is that they were separate from the toilet. So that I didn't understand the basic concept of going to the bathroom and then having to stand up off of one of these things and then sit down on another. And I'm like, what's going on between those two thrones? There's a lot of messiness. But in the modern ones, those get attached to the current toilet. And they actually have a little, when you turn it on, a nozzle kind of comes out like a turtle head coming out of a turtle shell. It positions itself directly underneath your butthole, and then it points straight up, and then it fires a water jet up in there. And there's no splash zone out. First off, how does this guy give his height and weight? How much open hole is there for you on the, like, I'm struggling to get everything inside that hole. There is no, like, it can splash anywhere at once, and it's not going anywhere but bouncing off of my body and dropping right back down into the toilet water because there's not a lot of extra space in the hole. So if you're one of those guys like my 8-year-old daughter who can actually fall into the toilet accidentally, like, if you relax all your body parts, you just accidentally fall in the hole, then I don't think a bidet is your biggest problem. I think eating food and getting your squat up is
not what he's talking about. I think what he's worried about is this water jet, like creating aerosol doo-doo that gets on his toothbrush.
What I'm saying is, how could it do that if you've got the entire ring clogged? There's nowhere for the water to go. Like
Well, I hear you. Like you're saying that you create a tight seal.
I'm very tightly sealed. Water can go nowhere.
Okay, well, fair enough. Well, that answers his question.
But also, it just rebounds right back down into the.
So one of his questions is, does this not result in water and debris exiting the toilet bowl area? And you're saying that no, it does not. Okay.
It does not.
And then he says, how do you dry? A pile of single-use face and hand towels? Or do you just walk around with a soggy bottom the rest of the day? Inquiring minds want to know.
It's an excellent question. You usually dab with a little toilet paper dab. Or if you've got a really nice bidet, then it comes with its own it's got a blow dryer on it. And you hit that button, and it blow dries your butt dry.
Huh. There you have it.
Those are all, by the way, all of those, I realize that seems like it's just ridiculousness and it's over the top. But what everyone else is doing is they're taking a thin piece of paper and they're sticking their finger up their asshole.
No,
and
Matt,
I just feel like the technology has advanced enough at this point that we don't need to finger our own assholes.
And this is the last word on this. I don't think you know how to wipe properly because I've never done that. David says, thanks for answering my question about my friend with back pain and tightness. We were concentrating much more on setting his lower back, and the issue is becoming less of a problem. Good. We also swapped out the deadlift for RDLs, progressing to heavier weight than down the leg to the floor. No, you swapped out RDLs for the deadlift. Soon he'll be pulling from the floor again. Now for the question today. Can you do a show on the power clean, please?
No.
No.
Why? Why does he say why he wants a show on the power clean?
Because he likes to do them and he'd like to know.
About what? What does the show on the power clean even mean?
I don't know.
Like the history of the power clean?
No, he didn't say that.
I know, but like that sounds like a terrible podcast.
Well, we have a show on the squat. We have a show. We did like early on in the teens. We did shows on each of the lifts.
Yeah, and we do that because we care about the squat. And the reason we don't do one on the power clean is because I don't give a fuck about the power clean. I never have given a fuck about the power clean. Sorry, guys. Your power clean doesn't make you stronger. Are you 16 years old and a football player? Do the power clean. But all you guys out there with 400-pound deadlifts, power clean in 137.5, it doesn't make you stronger. Stop. Stop doing a stupid fucking power clean. What a waste. What a waste of an exercise. Do a barbell row. If you're deadlifting 405, your barbell row in 225, 250, that's going to carry over better than a power clean is. So, if you want a power clean because you want to go be competitive at weightlifting, which at that point wouldn't be a power clean anyway, it'd be an actual clean and
right.
jerk, then do it, man. That's awesome. Actually, I got clients that do that. I certainly have clients that clean, but no, I'm not doing a show on a power clean for a bunch of people where our average age listener is 42 years old, 42-year-old guy, none of whom should be power cleaning.
Yeah. By the way, I watched Lydia Valentine on the 2018
Not
Worlds.
a 42-year-old guy, by the way.
No, absolute full tilt boogie freak. Clean,
By the way,
clean and jerk. Do you know what her clean and jerk PR is?
I bet it's 345.
324.
324.
She walks around at 170 pounds.
That's crazy. Hey, listen, if one of our Barbell Logic listeners marries that girl, I'll give you lifetime online coaching for free. As long as you stay married to her.
Right.
If she divorces you, you're out.
Yeah.
So if you guys marry any of you listeners out there, you go marry Lydia Valentine. Free online coaching for life.
Yeah,
for you and her.
She's so good for that sport.
Oh, yeah. She's great.
Yeah.
Making that little heart.
Yeah.
You're like, captured mine.
She's about done, She's 34.
Sure. She's old for a weightlifter.
She's one of the greatest women weightlifters ever. But you ain't. Oh, Justin says, I've been missing the whiskey talk you guys used to do for the Saturday Q&A show.
Because we keep recording these too early. We can't drink whiskey at 9 a.m. anymore.
He says, can we please chat for a few minutes about what we've been drinking? Are there any new bottles you tasted recently you want to talk about? I know some of your listeners are not fans of the booze talk, but I say let them hate. And I agree. Man.
What are you drinking?
I just finished a bottle of that, 25th anniversary Knob Creek. It had the black and silver label. Yeah, it's so good.
But you bought it for like $75. Now it sells for $150.
I paid more like $60 for it.
That's insane.
So here's the rule, guys. I had never tried that, and I saw it on the shelf. I'm like, I'm buying it because it fit Hambrick's rule. If it's over 60 proof, you can pay $10 for every year in the wood.
Right.
For it, and it'll be a good deal.
That's right.
No, wait a minute. It'll be a fair deal.
No, that's a good deal. I think it's a good deal.
Well, $10 for every year in the wood. If it's a 12-year-old whiskey and you pay $120 for it, and it's a 60 proof, it's a fair enough deal. That's not you didn't cut a fat hog on that, but
60 proof 12-year-old whiskey for $120, I would pay that all day, every day.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But you didn't. Yeah. I mean, but that ain't a great deal. It's a fair deal. You'll be fine. And so, but I saw it for $60. I think I $58 or something like that. And I bought 3 of them. And then I went back later and bought some more.
And then do you know how old that whiskey is?
There's no age statement, but I figure it's 10 or 12.
Old. Yeah.
So good. You know that Kings County bourbon that I bought out of the trunk of that car in that flask?
Oh my God, that's so good.
That Knob Creek is reminiscent of that.
Is it?
Yeah.
Gosh, I wish I could get some of that. Can you guys get that Kings County stuff for us?
Oh my God, that
good.
Kings County
get it in the Midwest. It's so good.
In the hip flask size.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's all. I think that's all they sell it in.
So good.
I've been drinking more of that. I've been drinking my 1792 full proof.
Yep.
So good. I've been drinking a lot of Amaro. That's my thing right now. I like bitter stuff. I know you love it. I know you're a big fan of bitter.
Like your mom.
Like your soul.
Well,
How's that for improv?
Yeah.
No, I do. I like weird bitter shit. So I'll tell you what I did. I pickled some fennel the other day. Fennel root, Took a fennel root, pickled it, and with like some orange peel and some lemon peel, put some sugar, kind of a sweet pickle like you do sweet pickles. And that fennel's got that, kind of licorice anise flavor. I've been making martinis out of that with like fennel root martinis. Yumsies. So
Interesting.
kind of a licorice martini. It's real good. So I've been drinking that. You know what I got a bottle of not too long ago? I got a bottle of Eagle Rare, and I hadn't had a bottle of Eagle Rare in a while.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so good.
Yeah.
It is so much better than Buffalo Trace.
Buffalo Trace isn't good.
It's how could they be? I mean, they're it's the same shit.
Buffalo Trace has no age statement on it. That Eagle Rare is 10 years old.
Yeah,
And it's the better juice too.
yeah.
So good.
It's the same juice, but I mean, it just makes the cut. Is what you mean? It's the same. It's
Is it the same
whiskey.
juice? It's the high rye.
100%.
Okay.
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's a high corn. It's a high corn. They're both the high corn. Yeah, and I think Buffalo Trace is like 6 years old. So
Yeah, Eagle
they
Rare
say
is
that.
10.
I mean, I've been on the Buffalo Trace tour a bunch of times. They'll tell you what it is, and the Eagle Rare, I can't remember if it actually says 10 years anymore. But
There's no,
if it's
there's
not 10
no
years,
way.
if
there's
it's not
no
10
way
years, like
There's
like
no way
9
that the
years.
Buffalo Trace of the last couple years is 6 years old.
it's not even close. I mean, that's what's crazy. It's whereas like if you drink Weller 107 and Weller 12, those are both so good.
Yeah.
And they're so good for for a little bit different reasons. Obviously, that 12 is oakier and just yum, give me some. And that 107 is good because it's so hot. It's that 107. It's got all that proof, which is why it's real good when you mix the two. You get the best of both worlds. But yeah, that's kind of my thing. I've been drinking a lot of Amaro lately. Big fan of like rhubarb Amaro, dark weird stuff. You know what I had? What I had for the first time? John Floater was Father John Floater, the Jack Priest.
Amaro.
So kohlrabi Amaro. I had something called Underberg. You ever had Underberg?
Under the Mountain?
Yeah.
I have
It's
not had it.
It's like it's a German digestif. So most of these Amaros are like 20, 22%. They're not very hot. This one's 40%. And it's got this, this real like rooty, rhubarby, kind of licorice flavor to it. And they come in these little bitty bottles, these little tiny, it's probably an ounce and a half maybe in a bottle. And they're like $2.99 for a bottle of this. And we got a new taco place here in town that opened up that's awesome. And they sell them right there. Like the bartender's awesome. It's the guy that used to run Social. That's this great bartender in town. But all the drinks there are made out of tequila and mezcal. And then they got these little bitty baby bottles of Underberg. I was like, what's that? And John Floater was like, you've never had Underberg? And so now I'll drive by and I'll get a taco and an Underberg.
So weird.
It's just good. It's just a 40% like licorice punch in the face is what it is. It's pretty good. I like it.
My father's favorite pie, strawberry rhubarb pie.
Yeah. I like rhubarb pie.
I like rhubarb. Yeah.
I mean, nothing holds a candle to pecan,
That's true.
right?
Oh,
Pecan
by the way, pumpkin spice
Pumpkin season's
latte
coming.
is on.
Yeah, it's on. I
So
saw all the pumpkin beers are at International Wine Center, and I love them. I hate that I love them, but I'm not going to them yet. I got a little more summer left in me.
Gourd. Michelle, our 12th female listener. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle.
Says, Matt and Scott, I'm a 55-year-old female. There isn't really a question in this one that I saw, but I'd still like to read it.
Basically, if you're a female and you email us, we'll guarantee you that it will get onto the show.
5'6", 135, new to barbells. She says, I screwed around with dumbbells and bands in my home gym for a year. Then I took the plunge and bought a Rogue squat rack in May of 2019, along with the barbell prescription. I enjoy the podcast very much. Thank you. She says, a few random comments. Thank you to Nikki Sims, who was in one of the Barbell Logic podcast episodes on how long it takes to get an unassisted chin-up. And she graciously answered something along the lines of, it takes a lot longer than you want. She says, amen, sister. I found that answer realistic and encouraging, and I'm going to keep at it. I got to sets of 1. That took a long time.
That's a big deal.
Then I got to
Congrats.
sets of 2, and I won at least 5. It is not easy despite what Instagram might lead one to believe. No, it is not.
No.
If you add 5 pounds to a lift, let's say you do 5 sets, you do a set of 5 and you add 5 pounds. That means the tonnage went up 25 pounds.
That's right.
And if the weight's 100-pound squat, it went up 25% or 1/4. If you add another rep It's more. It's a bigger increment in the tonnage, and that's the problem with the chin. When you add a rep, your tonnage goes way up. So we can't just slowly make the tonnage go up. So you're doing good there. She says, "Thank you, Robert Santana. I'm diligent about getting 125 to 150 grams of protein each and every day, and unfortunately, I've noticed how fat calories add up fast." She says, "I have listened to the Myth of Maintenance episode more times than I'm willing to admit. I think this topic can be mined even more, fellows. So much to think about."
We had a lot of good feedback about that one.
Yeah. She says, "I guess I'm what you call a casual lifter. I train 2 times a week without fail, and then I hike with a hiking club 1 day a week. I'm making progress adding weight to the bar, but it is slow. It's nothing like the fast progression through LP we sometimes talk about. At this point, I cannot imagine being able to lift heavy like your wives do." Let's stop and talk about that. You say you're a casual lifter, but if you're training twice a week at age 55 and then you have some other activities, I'm not sure that you are a casual lifter.
Yeah,
Twice
a lot more serious than most people.
Yeah, and twice a week for a 55-year-old female, if you're not on any hormone replacements and you're sort of perimenopausal or full tilt boogie menopause, it's probably where you should be in your training. You might add a third day, but I don't know that you could recover from it. That would be something that we would have to work with and work on and figure out what we could do with. And you said at this point, I can't imagine ever being able to lift heavy like your wives do. Ma'am, you might have been able to if you had started when they do.
Yeah,
when they did. The age when someone starts and then their ultimate training age dictates how strong somebody can be, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, genetics and some other things as well. But I had a good friend of mine come and train with me Monday, and I pulled 440 for sets across, you know, and he's pulling 275, and he's like, "God damn, you know, it's discouraging." I'm like, "No, it's not. I've been doing it for years and years and years. You're in month 9. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing." Because when I was in month 9, that was unfathomable to me.
Sure.
Yeah, unfathomable. Let's keep going. She says, I took the Barbell Logic advice and got myself a coach in real life for a form check session. She says, "Thank you for the nudge. It turned out to be a great decision and well worth the drive and money. Obviously, that coach was able to help me with my form. He also helped me with a 2-time-a-week programming and suggested I start over at lower weights and take smaller jumps. So far, so good. I'd love to hear stories of your older clients, especially females, who are getting stronger and fighting the good fight against sarcopenia, even if the weights on the bar are modest, even if training is taking the medicine." Yeah, thank you, Michelle.
Thank you for that email. That's really kind. Thank you.
Yeah,
we certainly
doing good work there.
We certainly have far more female clients than we do female listeners of Barbell Logic.
I think so.
No, definitely so. I mean, we've got a good percentage of our clients are female.
Yeah,
and a large percentage of our coaches are female, and none of our listeners are female.
There are 12. There are 12.
Yeah. Yep. My mom listens. Your mom listens, and my wife usually doesn't listen. Does your wife listen?
Uh-huh.
She does.
Yep.
That's not. Tell her thank you.
I will.
My wife won't.
You just did.
She won't hear me say this, but my wife won't know because she doesn't listen to the show.
Yeah, the Reynolds aren't a fan.
That's true. That's true. I guess I can't be. That's uber hypocritical that I would be upset that my wife doesn't listen to the show when in fact I don't listen to the show or read the emails or the.
I listen to every show.
iTunes reviews or anything.
I listen to every show because I don't know what was said, or I need to keep in my mind what was said. Early on, I used the same metaphor 2 or 3 or 4 times. It's told the same story a couple times, and I was like, that ain't good.
Man, I'm turning into an old man telling stories over and over again.
Yeah, you forget what you've said.
I do that all the time.
All right, Greg says, sex before training, good idea or bad idea? And
Terrible idea.
I say during.
Yeah, that's always fun.
We'll do one more here. We've been on about an hour. Brandon says, I work out in a basement gym, and I have the required rack and barbells to get strong. But because I'm heavier, 6'2" and 300, achieving a pull-up has been out of reach thus far. I purchased a Spud Econo lat pull-down that I hang from my rack. But since it just has one pulley at the top, the angle I'm pulling down isn't straight down like a pull-up would be. Is this an appropriate machine substitute for pull-ups until I get strong enough to do a real pull-up, or should I focus on movements like the barbell row?
Well, I mean, I think it's a perfectly okay accessory movement. It's not going to make it's not going to help you achieve a pull-up. I think a better accessory movement is a barbell row than a spud strap lat pull down while sitting on the floor that hangs over your squat rack. But I mean, that doesn't mean that it's worthless. It's not worthless. It's okay. I still think this guy's got to attack pull-ups, chin-ups, just like Nikki Sims talks to most females about doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just, the guy's heavy. He's going to have to lose some weight. He's going to have to keep getting stronger. He's going to have to focus on negatives. He's going to have to use bands. I would do all those things before I would probably do a spud strap pulley lat pull down.
My wife, Charity, who is a monster presser, who's pressing 150 for sets now.
Right.
It's fucking ridiculous. She and I have been talking about the press, and she just harps on it, and she talks about, she says that it's a back exercise, that if you do the movement without thinking about your back, you're going to limit yourself, and her back is jacked. It looks like her back just looks like it's covered with snakes, and when she presses, it's ridiculous. And my friend Tim Roberts from down in Texas called me on Sunday, and big Tim Roberts. Tim is about 6 feet tall. He's weighing about 305 right now. He's squatting in the high sixes for singles. He's real close to an 800-pound pull. His press is getting big, and he was talking about his training, and he's been really doing a bunch of West Side style stuff, and he's a big heavy guy too. Well, he's chinning for weighted sets and doing crazy lat pull downs, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds. And he's like, man, my lats, I look like I could just fly.
Yeah.
But he was saying the same thing, that as his back has gotten stronger, his bench press and his press has gone up.
Yeah. I think it's hard to do that, if not impossible to do that on that spud pulley. But I mean, you can't do hundreds and hundreds of pounds because it'll lift you off the ground.
Yep.
You've got to have a real heavy-duty commercial lat pull-down machine. And then if you have something like that, you can load the thing up to 300 pounds and do lat pull-downs pretty damn strict, then you're fine.
Yeah.
Lydia Valentine.
It may take you practicing or maybe you can get some volume with your spud, pulley system for now, but it won't be enough soon. Soon that will not be enough. But just, you're going to have to do what you can, because that your back will eventually become the limiting factor in your press and your bench press. I am convinced of it. And we already know that it's a problem with the squat and the deadlift. We all get that. But it's gonna choke down your bench press and your press too. Well, that is a big old long question and answer episode. I hope you guys like that one.
Did we catch up a little bit?
We caught up some. We are only about a month behind.
Are we on page 2 right now? Or did we get to page 2?
We are on page 2.
All right.
Brandon does say, I love finding content that shares so many of my values. Thank you for joining the echo chamber, friend. He says, please keep the financial advice, relationship advice, business advice, and barbell advice coming. I value it all. Thank you. Thank you for listening, and thank you for saying that. Thank you guys for listening, and thank you for saying all the things you say. Send those questions and comments to questions@barbell-logic.com. And listen, we've got other content too. The one that you're really probably not taking advantage of, and I know this because we know what our download numbers are. We know what our podcast download numbers are. And we know what our YouTube subscriber base is. And we also know how many people take our newsletter. And it is but a fraction, and that is bullshit. Go to barbelllogic.com and sign up for the Friday Fives newsletter. The content there is similar, right? We talk about all the things that matter to people.
And original, and it also has a recap. It kind of puts all this stuff in the same newsletter as well, but there's always original stuff there. There's great sales there. That's kind of where you get to be part of the community, right?
Yep. That's
so
where
I know people that listen to this, they feel like they're part of, they're kind of we're in your car or in your living room every day. You feel like you're part of the community, but really there's not a lot of feedback and back and forth. And by being part of that newsletter, that opens you up to our actual feedback world where you can talk back and forth with us and see all sorts of fun stuff and original content and sales and
go sign up for that, because we never sell your email address. We don't advertise other people's bullshit there. We will ask you to buy things from us from time to time, but that's only fair because we're busting our ass for you guys for free. So go there and sign up for that. You'll like it. It'll be worth it. And then you can do like me. You can print it. You can print it out and put it on your clipboard and take it to the toilet with you.
And then do you mark it up and stuff? Do you like
Yeah, sometimes.
you get that highlighter and
Nope, pencil, highlighters.
oh yeah, I remember now. So I forgot.
Pencil.
Pencil only.
That's right. So you can print that out and put it on your clipboard. Here's my homemade clipboard, Matt. I'll show it to you. It's
a homemade one.
Yeah,
it's a little whiteboard with
it's a whiteboard with just a binder clip here.
Yep.
And high speed, low drag, low cost. There you go.
It's good.
And then here are all my articles. Let's go over what I have on the clipboard. Biomechanical implications of skeletal muscle hypertrophy and atrophy, a musculoskeletal model.
Sounds riveting.
Yeah. On love, aspects of a single theme by Jose Ortega Gasset. Let's see what else we have here. George L. Orwell on anti-Semitism in Britain. I still haven't finished McKay's essay and work here on Customato, but that's on here.
What an interesting guy, Customato. All right,
There you have it.
Thanks for listening. Long Q&A. We got caught up. Keep sending your questions to questions@barbell-logic.com. Also, a future question and answer episode coming up on the upcoming Barbell Logic Professional Barbell Certification, Coaching Certification. So if you have questions there, you can put CERT in the subject line and ask questions, and we'll talk through those very, very soon.
All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. I really mean that.
Me too.
I really do. I give you guys a rash sometimes, but thank you so much for listening. We love all of you. Thank you. Oh, the tonnage goes down.